You made it to episode 4. Awesome. Welcome to episode 4. What should you sell on eBay? If this is the first video out of the eBay course video series that you discovered, I advise you to pause this video and go back and watch episodes 1 through 3. In episode 1, I try to convince you of why you should listen to me. In episode 2, we talked about the eBay theory and why eBay suppresses accounts. And of course, in episode 3, we talked about attitude, balance, and setting your own goals. Go watch those first and then come back and continue episode 4. In this episode, we're strictly going to talk about what categories you should sell on eBay, which is a pitfall because there's really almost an unlimited amount of things that you can sell on eBay for profit. I mean, we're talking about unique antique stuff. We're talking about buttons to replace a vintage blazer piece. We're talking about a lid to a Pyrex bowl. We're talking, of course, shoes and clothes, electronics, video games, auto parts, medical parts, collectibles, vintage, modern. It's almost an endless amount of items you can sell for profit. And how do you decide what you should sell? I think the first thing you have to do is, again, ignore what the internet people are doing. Ignore what Melinda and I sell. Ignore what influencer A, B, C, or D is selling. Ignore all of that and find what you want to sell. Let's talk about how to really figure that out. Currently, we primarily sell clothes and shoes. Prior to that, we sold anything and everything we could get our hands on to try to achieve our goal, which at the time or at the beginning of our journey was to pay off our debt. So we sold whatever we could find. We shipped tube TVs. We sold barber chairs. We flipped stuff locally. We flipped stuff on eBay, on Poshmark. We sold replacement parts and toys and collectibles and vintage cameras and electronics and a lot of the things that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. And we made a lot of money doing that, but we also had to learn a lot because when I went to an estate sale and picked up a box of vintage toys for $10, knowing I would be profitable because I saw one item in there that was worth at least 30, well, I had to learn about the rest of that stuff. And that is really a pitfall because it's really how much effort you are willing to put into it. And what I would advise for anyone that's just started is to go sell stuff that you already own that you don't have to go out and source or buy to flip. If you can't find $100 worth of stuff at your house right now, then you're in the wrong business. There is demand for almost anything out there. I mean, people are buying things that you would never believe are things that people buy, like 1960s jock straps, right? Or like 1970s used lingerie. These things that most people would be like, oh, grandma's old underwear, this is disgusting. Other people are like, yes, I'm gonna add these jock straps or lingerie to my collection, or whatever, right? Who cares what they do with it? My point is, you start with the stuff that you already have in your house. We started with a TI-83 and a TI-84 calculator. Those were the first two things we sold on eBay before we got the bug and then just went crazy and sold everything. Once you find those 5, 10, 15 items in your house that you're like, hey, I'm gonna see if these things are worth it, start looking them up. And in this video, we'll talk a little bit about how to look stuff up to see if it's really worth your time. And then I'm going to go through a couple of examples of categories that you might be interested in flipping, but they come with their own pitfalls and learning curves. First, we'll talk about the category in general, and then I'm going to use that specific item so I can actually show you if it's worth listing on eBay to sell for a profit. The first category is shoes. Shoes are one of the best things to flip because they're so abundant. You have a bunch of them in your own house, your cousins have some, the thrift stores always have them, the Goodwill outlets always have them, flea markets, garage sales. They're really abundant because most people on average probably have what, like 7 pair, maybe more. The pitfall with shoes is that you're gonna have to clean them, you're gonna have to learn conditions, and you're gonna have to figure out what type of shoes are more in demand and what types of shoes are not. And obviously you're going to have to figure out what brands sell well and what brands don't sell well. And we'll get into the details, the nitty-gritty about Terapeak and product lookup later in videos. We're going to keep it pretty simple as we're still in the getting to know each other phase of me teaching you how to do this for free. Clothing, another great category, but again, there are pitfalls. What brands sell the best? Is it worth it to sell kids clothing? What about plus sizing? What if they're new? What if they're stained? How much processing does it take? There's a lot more to it than just picking up North Face at the thrift store for $7 and flipping it for $15, right? There's pitfalls to all of it, and those are some of the pitfalls of clothing. Books, that's an easy category. Everyone can sell books, but there are pitfalls. You have to learn about first editions. You have to learn about ISBN numbers. What if the book doesn't have an ISBN number? Is it scannable? Is it something that I have to look up manually? Is it in demand? Is it mass produced? Pots and pans. One of my favorite things to sell all time, but again, it comes with pitfalls. Are you willing to clean them? Can you recognize different metals? Are you able to figure out measurements of what size something is if it doesn't have the size on it? Electronics, one of the most profitable categories you can sell on eBay because again, everyone has them, they're abundant. However, do you know what the latest version is? What if you flip that phone? Is that phone locked or unlocked? Is it bound to a carrier? What update is it? Are you able to access the phone? Do you have the charger? How can you test it? Video games, another fantastic category to sell with. But notice something about these four right here. These 4 video games are 4 different consoles. Do you have those 4 different consoles for testing? Can you recognize if a video game is complete in box? Do you know the difference between an original Nintendo 64 video game and a reproduction? These are some of the pitfalls with video games. And again, this is the stuff when if you just watch YouTube videos of influencers doing it, you're like, wow, video games sell for a lot of money. But what they don't tell you is that they might have the systems and the knowledge how to test all of those video games, and you don't. What about gift sets or gifts or, houseware stuff? Another great category to flip. I mean, you can literally make your own and sell it for profit. In this example, this is glass. Well, of course there's a pitfall there. Am I able to ship this? Do I have the right shipping material to ship it? When you get into some of these complex things like Pyrex collections, it takes a lot of work. Trust me, I've shipped a 75-piece Chinaware before. It sucked. But still a great flip, 20 into 175. Took me 45 minutes to do all the packaging. Worth it, but holy cow, was that painful to do. Vintage toys, fun, great to flip. But can you find enough of them to make a profit if you list them consistently? Are you willing to learn about them? Do you know your toys? So how do you choose a category? That's the thing. I think it really relates back to the previous episode when I talked about setting goals. What is your goal? If your goal is to be consistently listing 25 items every single day, you need to be able to source 25 listable items every single day or ahead of time. If you are going to struggle to find 25 vintage toys, for example, every single day or every single garage sale run, then that might not be the category. If you're looking to make just the most amount of money possible as quickly as possible, then I would sell everything. If you're looking for something that has a lot of abundance, I would stick to things like clothing and shoes. If you're not scared of the challenge of learning how to package 17 different items, I would ship everything. If you want something easy, I would do shoes, right? So again, it's up to you to choose that category. I would recommend you taste all the categories. You figure out what you like dealing with, what you don't like dealing with. There are some pitfalls in doing vintage toys, but it's actually kind of cool to look them up and learn about them and see what the sets look like and if they're complete and if they're missing, etc. But you have to spend the time and energy to learn about it before you can just say, I'm going to do that right now. Up next, I'm going to actually look up the stuff that's in front of me here and show you if this is a good thing to flip, just this specific brand or item in front of me, or if it's not really worth to flip, and how to quickly look that up using a simple calculation called a sell-through rate. Or simply put, is there enough demand for this item? A few of you have bought me an ice cream or a coffee. Thank you, which is basically just a tip for this content. That link is down below. If you feel like throwing me $5 or whatever you can afford, click the link and tip me, as I'm doing this 100% free series, really out of my own expense, which is my time. But I want to do it because I think it's going to help a lot of people save a lot of money on nonsense courses and nonsense groups to join and just understand what this reseller life is actually about. So again, thank you for that. And of course, if you haven't already, check out the links below for the Flipped app, which is our app that helps resellers document all of their purchases, all of their sales, so that they know exactly how much money they're making and they can prepare for taxes quite simply. Let's start with this Michael Stars shirt. In order to do this, you just have to have the eBay app open on your phone. So all I'm going to do is search Michael Stars and see how many Michael Stars items of clothing are listed for sale. This is a broad search. When I type in Michael Stars, it gives me several options. I'm not going to select any of them. I'm just going to do Michael Stars. And because my item is used, I'm going to go to Filter, Condition, Pre-owned. Looks like there are roughly 6,400 items. You can see here in the bottom. I'm going to go to Filter. It's in women's clothing, which is fine for now for category. I'm going to just check solds. Shows me that there's roughly 1,000 that are sold. All I need to do now is do my quick sell-through calculation, which is how many are sold divided by how many are available times 100. This brand, in broad speaking, only has a 15% sell-through rate. Which basically means, in general, this is not technical, so don't get at me with your technicalities, technical folk. Basically, this means that if you have 100 items that are branded Michael Stars that are used, in the next 90 days, 15 of them will sell if you do everything right. Now, you can beat the system and price better, offer better shipping and return policies, etc., but we'll get into those details later. If you have this brand in your house and you're just trying to make a quick buck, you can sell it. Just price it below average and it'll sell a lot faster. If you're out in a thrift store, this might not be a great brand to pick up. Next up is this Grimm's Fairy Tales book. Now the nice thing about this is I can just simply scan it. So again, I'm going to have my eBay app open, and up here where the camera icon is, I'm going to tap it and it will bring up the barcode reader, and I'm going to simply just put that over the barcode, and before I could even show you, it already pulls it up. And now again, I'm going to go to Filter, Condition, Used. Looks like via the barcode search, there's 28 results. I'm going to filter again and go to Solds and see that in the last 90 days, only 2 copies sold. I can also do this by typing. So let's see if I get any better results. 2 sold divided by 28 available times 100. 7% sell-through rate. I would strongly advise you not to sell this book. If I do another search for it, just typing in the name, maybe I'll get better results. The problem is going to be that it's going to give me a bunch of results because, well, there's a lot of things with Grimm Fairy Tale in it, including these posters and books and vampire series and posters and whatever the heck is on my screen here. That's not what I wanted. So that's the problem with doing it that way. You can also try to type in book, and now that gives me 18,000 results. It'll take me some time to figure out exactly which version and which book, if it's a soft cover or hardcover, but just based off of that quick scan, I'm going to move on from those technicalities and say, don't sell this book because it's not a profitable item. 28 available, only 2 sold. That's a very slow seller. Next up, we have this iPad Mini 4 in the original box. I suspect that this is going to be a very in-demand item because a lot of stuff that's Apple branded sells really well on eBay. Let's take a look. I'm going to keep this one broad as well. All I'm going to do is type in Apple iPad Mini 4. I don't know the gigabyte off the top of my head, so I'm just going to search. And it looks like there's 1,100 results. I'm going to filter that into used. It tells me there are 465 of these available. I'm going to go down here, tap sold, 465 available, and 1,400 sold. Jackpot. There were 1,400 sold divided by 435 available times 100. There's a 321% sell-through rate. You might say, that doesn't make any sense. The percentages just go up to 100. Nah, they don't. They don't. But we're not here for math. We're here to figure out if something is in demand, and this item is definitely in demand. Now let's think about it this way. If there's a 321% sell-through rate, if I have 100 of these and I do everything right, they work, they've been tested, they're clean, the titles, the pricing is all good, I'm going to sell out way before the 90 days pass. That's a simple way to look at it. I hope this video helps you out to at least try to figure out what you want to sell. A lot more content coming in this 100% free series. Thank you again for watching this series. Much more coming up. Like the video. I hope I've earned your subscription by now. Share it with your friends who are getting started selling on eBay, and I'll definitely see you in the next one. Thanks.